Hello, hello. Today I'm going to be going through my July reading update, um, mostly focusing on HRCYED, but I do have a couple of statistics that are just reading in general, as well as several trackers towards the end of my presentation that I'm going to go through, my slide deck, I guess, whatever you want to call it, um, that are for other challenges that I'm also working through. You'll see that I'm not really making a ton of progress on those because they're kind of backburnered. I'm almost done with them at this point. So it's sort of waiting until I find a book that fits that category that just probably will slide into HRCYED as well in most cases, or maybe waiting on a book that I've put on hold that's taken a while to get there. So let's start out with HRCYED. I've also been a bit sick, so I apologize that it's late, not 100% because of illness. It is, of course, well beyond when this should have been uploaded, but I had to create my templates and everything else, and they are inspired by, I will say, some other templates I've seen out there, but I did a significant amount of work to get them put together to make them just the way I would want to do them because I love a good spreadsheet, and don't get me wrong, I'm also using the spreadsheet just because I love it. But I also love a good Canva template, and generally I will save those into a file, sort of like a completion trophy, whenever I finish a reading challenge, whether that be, 4, 5, 6 books or 50 books. I want to make sure that I'm able to sort of save that for later, sort of like the same way we do if you're on Storygraph. I tend to track if a challenge is available on Storygraph. I'm tracking it there because the little check mark gives a dopamine rush that I just love. Anywho, well, I guess it's not a check mark. But it ticks away. You know what I mean. Anywho's, let's go ahead and get into it. So my statistics for the month of July. I read 52 books. Not all of those books went into HRCYED. Some of those were just books that were on my lists. I have several different lists, just in general, obviously challenges, and then I'm also trying to get through a couple of series of manga, and I want to get through some classics. I have and some children's books as well. Children's being children's or middle grade um, books. I don't necessarily put YA in there because I do read YA just generally, in addition to regular adult books. And I do also plan on reading at least one nonfiction. My goal was per quarter, but it's turning into at least one a month at this point, which I am not mad about. Always good to expand the brain and learn something. Yeah. So anyway, 39 of them were full books, no novels. One was manga, 9 were short stories, 2 were novellas. Only one of them was a reread, and that was a book that I needed to read for a very specific challenge that I already read. I will probably be doing at least one more reread for that same exact reason. Specifically, I'll be rereading The Handmaid's Tale. I do have that planned for HRCYED, but I'm not going to be counting The Handmaid's Tale. When I get there, I'll show you what I mean. For that, it's going to just sort of be an extra because I'm reading and inspired by. So, other statistics that I have in general, most of my books were adult categorized. 64%, almost 65% there. I did have a middle grade book, a couple children's books, and a good chunk that were young adult, like I mentioned. I have a ton of audiobooks. I'm in the car a lot. I also listen to audiobooks sometimes when I'm going to sleep or while I'm doing chores, a lot while I'm doing chores. So I get through a lot of audiobooks, but I also read ebooks. I do have a few physical books that I read, but generally those are my main ways because I can get those from my library via Libby or Hoopla, more Libby than Hoopla in general. But it is much simpler for me. I used to have so many books. 3 bookshelves that are about like this one, that goes, all the way up. You know what bookshelf it is, from IKEA. And but these ones are from Walmart, but they're the same size. And they were double deep, and there were 3 of them in my little tiny apartment. And then I had to move, and I was moving every couple of years there for a while. including one overseas move where everything's had to go into storage, and it just didn't make sense for me to take all of my books anymore because it's very expensive to move them that frequently. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to keep them, so I donated them to libraries and to friends and things like that. And that was ages ago. And I really just sort of haven't gotten into the habit of buying consistently books. Mostly, I will get from the library or borrow and then pass on to other people if I did get it. So, like for instance, if someone's giving away books on the what is it, the Buy Nothing group, then I'll get them, I'll read them, and I'll pass them back along. I don't usually keep most of my books. But anyway, so not a lot of physical books is what I meant from that. Um, Other things on here, I pretty much stuck to the last 20 years, which was interesting. I didn't necessarily mean to, but most of my books were actually in the last decade. Then the next one was the decade before, which makes sense. Penguin was my largest publisher, followed closely by Macmillan. I will say this has been the most eye-opening, enlightening one of all the statistics that Q put together in her spreadsheet, because it's really been sort of forcing me to go and look and see who owns the publishers of the books that I'm reading, because a lot of times it is one of the top ones, you know? Not a whole ton of self-published or independents, though there were some. A lot of them are under Penguin, HarperCollins, or Macmillan, and a few Hachette. I did have a couple that I wasn't able to track back. Either they were foreign published or there wasn't enough information to determine. So I left those blank. So those are not necessarily are not in these statistics. It just was a blank spot. So I don't know how it fits into her numbers, but since there's not an other, my guess is it just doesn't figure in. My sort of read for my genres was pretty diverse, but obviously you can tell lots of fantasy, urban fantasy, contemporary romance, things along those lines. Magical realism was another big one, but it was actually not as much as I thought it was going to be because there's a lot more of the urban fantasy, and those two I find in the books, at least that I pick, are very closely related. So you see 4% and 4% more or less. So in reality, that was probably closer to 8 because they may have actually been the same series if I'm thinking back. But anyway, I kind of fit into a couple of main categories, is what I'm saying. All right, then we get to the sort of spread of what challenges they went into. Serious Staircase and Challenge Yourself. My Challenge Yourself is the 50 states, which makes sense why it would be both of those, because both of those are the larger, I guess, challenges for me. And because I read the Wayward Children series for my series, I only technically counted 4 of them on my statistics for like how much percentage I've completed for the year. But I definitely put them all in when on the drop down, so they went into here. So that includes the short stories that were part of that series, as well as the ones that were over 4. So there's 11 just on that one. So only one of those I read. All the Wayward Children ones were 10 of them, and then one because I read the standalone. So I got quite a few of my states taken care of. Not quite a few, but a few. I got a few of them taken care of, and a couple of countries because I did work through that one. So let's quickly take a look. I have not gotten any squares marked off yet, but I'm getting kind of close. I'm halfway-ish through the Around the World and the Disability Challenge, the last 10 years, by the hundreds, subgenre, series challenge, and I think that is it for getting at almost half and become the Avatar. Everything else, I am under that 50% mark. All in, I read a lot of books this month, and I got 26% through all of the books that I need to complete for this challenge, which is rather a lot. And I don't think this is going to be the pace I'll be able to keep up for the entirety. I don't think I'll finish it in 4 months, but I was able to fill a lot of the spots with books that I was going to be reading anyway, or books that were quickly available from the library. So that was useful. I did put a whole bunch of books on hold that are potentially going to be filling spots or that just found were interesting for me because I do pay for a couple of different library cards. So I was able to put holds out on books from, I think, 3 different libraries, my library, and then 2 others that I pay for. Actually, no, there's a third one because, or a fourth one because there's another library I have as well. So 4 libraries. So I'm trying to get a bit of a, as soon as they come in, I'm able to fit them in, which does make it a little bit more difficult to plan. Because I see a lot of people doing the spinning, spin the wheel, but that doesn't work for me because I'm trying my best not to spend a significant amount of money on completing my challenges because I've had a lot of big expenses this year. My husband was in the hospital. We have a giant family trip coming up. I'm working on some legal stuff going on as well. So I'm trying my best not to spend a lot of money because let me tell you, with the amount of reading I do, I would spend a small fortune every year on reading if I did not mostly rely on library and borrowing from friends and fam. So getting into the actual, anytime I have, and this one is not going to really matter because this is the first month, but how I've decided to do it is that for that month, if it is purple, that means that I read it for this month, and then obviously the stars will tell you what I thought about it. Anything that was a big standout, I'll probably mention, and then you'll be able to see sort of where I am as a whole, as well as what was completed for that month. So it won't really matter for this month because they're all going to be purple, but into August and further on, it will matter a little bit more. So for this month for By the Hundreds, I read The Woods Are Always Watching and I Need You to Read This, which were both reads for another challenge that I am working through, and I was able to put them together. So you'll see those again later, but they're both good books. I tend to be a little stingy with my 5 stars, which maybe I should be less stingy on them. But if I say, yeah, it's a good book, usually 3 stars. If I say it was a great book, I really, really enjoyed it, I would recommend it to other people, probably a 4 star. And if it's a book that I would actually read again at some point or is going to stay with me for a long time, that's when it gets the 5 star. If it's below a 3 star, it's a 1 star, it's a DNF because I just couldn't do it. And then a 2 star is I read it, I got through it, not for me. I'm not saying it's not a good book, it just isn't up my alley, right? All right, so that sort of tells you how I feel about these ones. They were good books, 3 stars. I haven't done anything for the 24-hour readathon. I haven't even planned it yet. I think that's going to be several months in the future, so this one will probably stay empty for a while. And when it's done, it'll be all in the same month, obviously. Subgenre, I chose romance. And this month I did half of them. The I've Got Your Number was on the list for another one. And then crime, I'm working my way slowly but surely through the Rapture, or the In Death series. So I chose Rapture in Death, which was the next one in line for that one. And then, like I said, I've Got Your Number was because it was a requirement for another challenge. And for Paranormal, I don't remember why specifically I chose Running from the Wolves, but it, like originally, but it popped up in my library saying, hey, it's available now, and I forgot why I requested that one. But I gave it a read. It was a 3 star, as was I've Got Your Number. I went 4 for Rapture in Death. The only reason I've Got Your Number wasn't a 4 star is because I felt like it was a little slow at the beginning, and I kept putting it down and picking it back up and putting it down and picking it back up. And if it wasn't for another challenge and the fact that I very rarely DNF a book, I may have DNF'd it before the parts that I really, really enjoyed, which was later in the book. And so if the first part of the book had been a little bit quicker paced, I would have given it a 4 star because I really did enjoy it. I just didn't, the beginning just wasn't fast enough for me. It's a rather long book as well. For my solo for the series Staircase, I chose 10,000 Doors of January. Again, that was for a book club that I'm in a part of, and I went for 4 stars on that. I really enjoyed it. The problem with that is I didn't pick it up in time because I forgot that I had checked it out, and I luckily started it right at the beginning, and then I lost it. It went away, but I was able to get it back before the end of the month, because I was literally like 4 chapters from the end, and I was so mad at myself because I was like, no, I'm almost to the end. Anyway, I was able to get it back, and I found the answer, and I was like, okay, that's the answer, that's the end, we're all good. Whew. Anyway, so then I also gave All of the Wayward Children 4 stars. I really, really am enjoying this series. They're all fairly quick reads. Um, the Lost in the Moment and Found was my least favorite of them. And that wasn't anything about the book itself and the story. The story was really good. It was just that it made me angry. And I mean, good stories make you feel emotions, right? And so I'm not mad that it made me angry. It didn't give me the same feelings that I was expecting having gone this far into the series. But I finished it and I am waiting for the next one in the series, which is going to be on my, what is it, the new release one. I believe it's for like January or February next year that it's coming out. But I plan on reading that one as soon as it comes out. I've got a little tell me when it comes out reminder turned on so that I can check it out from the library as soon as possible, because both my husband and I are reading this series. Not necessarily together, because like he drives an hour to work and I work from home. So I will like read on my way, listen on my way to choir or dance practice or while doing chores, like I've mentioned, versus he's doing most of his audiobook reading while he is in the car. So we can't really do it together unless we spend the sort of small amount of time that we actually have together doing the reading, because we're on different shifts. So it's a whole thing. But anyway, we do read them separately and then we discuss them. So anytime I say we're reading them together, that's what I mean. All right, award season. I read First I Wins, again, for another challenge, for a book club, actually. And I am trying my darndest to get caught up in this book club, because I honestly couldn't get a lot of the books in from the library at first. And then I felt so far behind, I kind of was like, what's the point there for a while? And I'm like, no, I'm going to try to get the ones that are for this month and then try to do the backlog of the ones that I missed so that I can like discuss them. And because most people are saying they're really good books, right? So anyway, I got First I Wins this month. Everyone in my family has killed someone. I read this one and also the sequel to this one, and that's the one that's Everyone on This Train has killed someone, and I actually really liked them both. I am looking forward to having a third one come out. I didn't like this one as much as the second one, and I actually read this one, which is the first one, second. I read the other one first because that one was for a book club, and I went back and found this one and read it because they mentioned it in the book that there was a previous one, and I went, oh, I like the humor. I like that it doesn't take itself super seriously. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Agatha Christie almost, in that it's very specified. It very much falls into the, what is the word I'm looking for? I can't remember the word I'm looking for, but like it's going to go in this specific way, and it actually makes jokes about it, which I thought was kind of fun. But anyways, enjoyed it. Would recommend, but this one was not my favorite of the two, just maybe because I read them out of order. But I liked the second one a little bit better. All right, last 10 years. I have made decent progress on this. I enjoyed Kills Well with Others. I read the first one on a work trip on the plane and finished it at the hotel last year. And I will probably read everything by this author. 4 stars. Absolutely loved it. Oh, you can't see because I'm in the corner. Sorry, there were 4 stars on that one. And very much enjoyed it. It was on my list for as soon as it came out. Make sure to get that put onto my reading. I enjoy it. If you haven't heard about it yet, it's essentially some retired assassins / spies who keep getting pulled back into their old profession. I don't want to get too much into it, but the first one is how they get pulled back in, and the second one is sort of like I don't know, 6 months, a year, maybe not even that long, but they have a second adventure together, which was kind of fun. I loved Lights Out more than I thought I would. Um, I was expecting it to be a lot more twisted than it was based on the back. Now, there are definitely some moments that are a bit twisted and a bit dark, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot worse based on some of the other things that have been recommended on the internet. And I will read most anything at least once, and so this was put on my list. It came available, and I was like, sure, let's give it a go. I liked it. Secret Sin is okay. Wasn't my fave, but it wasn't bad. It is one of the shorter, it's a novella in the series. I believe it is technically the second one in the series, but this came up because of another thing that I was working through, and I was looking for something that fit that category, and I was like, ooh, that'll fit there too. So it was let's slate it into a spot on HRCYED because it fits elsewhere, and I wanted to try to get 2 spots. Because I don't remember if I said that in the first one or not, but I changed my mind. I am going to try to put every one that I can into 2 spots if they will fit. Originally, I was going to do a different book for every single slot in here, but then I was like, you know what? I go through so many challenges, and I'm going to be adding another challenge into here because it says, one of the challenges is to do another challenge. Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I want to keep things moving. So for now, I'm going to go back to doing 2. I still don't think I'm going to do the points though, just because that's a lot more to track and a lot more to keep up with and a lot more research to do because I don't necessarily know a lot of the questions that are on there, and I don't necessarily know that I want to answer all of the check marks every single time. So anyways, What Lies Beyond the Veil, I've read that on Kindle Unlimited, and I enjoyed it. I give 4 stars. I will probably read the second one, but this is one that I had DNF'd earlier because I didn't have time to read it, and it just wasn't really snagging my interest at the time. I am definitely a mood reader, and I was not having a fantasy mood at the time, apparently. And so I picked it back up because I was like, I want to finish it. I'm more in a fantasy mood now. Let me see. And I'd only gotten a couple chapters into this originally, so I don't necessarily count it as a reread because I didn't finish it and I only got a little bit in. But I liked it. I will probably read the second one. Not my type. I'm adoring this series. 5 stars. This was the first in the series, and it's called All Access, and I adore it. It is essentially a group of friends who, and their love stories, which you'll see the other ones because I'm caught up in this series now, and they all are disabled in some way, and they fall in love, and it's amazing. This particular one is a wheelchair user. She has a spinal cord issue, and her partner is he's a carpenter, I believe, but he also sort of moonlights as a bondage instructor for a disability class, like how to use bondage safely for if you are disabled or differently abled. And yeah, loved it. White Hot is another one I am working through that series. I believe I have 2 this month for this series, and I will probably finish them this year because I'm really enjoying Alona Andrews in general. This is the second series. I think it's the second series I'm working through from her, and they're all similar, but different groups of people and slightly different abilities in each series, and I'm enjoying it. It does have some spicy level, and let me know if you think I should put like chili peppers or whatever on here. I could probably try for those ones that that would apply to. But yeah, I would say this isn't like the top level of spiciness, but it is definitely not unspicy for that series. I read Jumanji for the movie, and it is a very short book. I was not aware of how short Jumanji was. Let me tell you, they put a lot more into the movie than was ever in the book. The book was like, I don't know, 30 minutes to read. It was like tiny. And I read Zathura as well, which I think is another challenge here. But yeah, Did not take much time to read that at all. I put it as 4 stars, mostly because it was really so tickling the nostalgia bone, if that's a thing. Is that a thing? I don't know, but it was like I was liking the nostalgia. I was like, oh yeah, I wish I'd read this as a kid. Again, like I said, I'm trying to read a few kids books, middle grade books, and classics this year, as well as some band books too. So those are all ones I'm trying to sprinkle in without like giving myself hard and firm. These are the requirements to do. Another one of the ones from that All Access series made its way into the Disability Challenge, and this one, she has Crohn's disease and started a toilet paper business because, of course, and he runs a paper products plant, and shenanigans, it's lovely. It was not as good as the first one, just at least for me, so I gave it 4 stars, but would suggest it's a good one. Unwinding Anxiety, it was not my favorite. It was a nonfiction read about anxiety. I kept finding my brain wandering. It had some good information, but I don't feel like I learned a ton compared to other books that I've read and podcasts and things that I've listened to. So I gave it 3 stars, but it was a low 3 stars. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. It was a low 3 stars. And then the novella How Heathcliff Stole Christmas is in the middle of this series, the Nethermore Bookshop Mysteries, which is spicy, why choose, and mystery. Yeah, that's usually how I would say that series is. This one was a novella, much shorter than most of the others because the other ones are fulls, and this is just a holiday novella that was in there. I don't feel like it is one that you necessarily need to read. I haven't read the next one, so maybe in the next one they'll reference back, but I was kind of annoyed because I felt like they rushed some of the stuff and they put a couple of things in there that were not my favorite when it came to solving the mystery and things like that, but it's okay. And again, I put Not My Type up here as well for Disability Pride Month. Japanese was the first one I chose for translations, and I did choose a Sailor Moon book. I don't remember if I mentioned this last time or not, but I've been really feeling like I wanted to rewatch the series because it was just sort of I said nostalgia already once, but I've been on like a nostalgia, like needing to feel that nostalgia feeling, nostalgic feeling recently. And so I started with reading it. So I'd never actually read it before, and I decided let's give that a go. I watched the series growing up, but I think it's the Toonami version where her name is Serena, and that doesn't really exist anymore. If you know if it does exist somewhere and I can watch it there, let me know because I haven't found it yet. And I watched a couple of episodes as well, but I did not count that towards, at least for this month, this particular book, towards I don't think I did at least, towards the adaptations. I may have, but I don't think I did. Around the world, I did North and South America as well as Australia because that Everyone on a Train is a Suspect book is actually taking place in Australia, as is the first book in that series. Temple of Swoon is the second book in this series by Joe Segura, and I think the first one was better, in my opinion, but I was feeling in a great mood apparently because I ended up giving it 4 stars. But the first one I would say was a 4 star. This one was a low 4 star. Like I was going back and forth between 3 and 4. I remember that. I usually like Janet Ivanovich, but this one just didn't hold my attention as well as some of the other ones that I have read of hers. It's the first book in this series, and I may or may not read the rest of the series. It sort of depends. I haven't decided yet. Maybe because a lot of times the first book is a lot of setting things up and trying to figure out, make sure everybody understands the background and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe the second one will be better. We'll see. But I gave it 3 stars because it was okay. Rainbow, I didn't want to change the backgrounds on this one, so I gave them check marks. Hopefully that's fine. But anyway, Blue, I chose The Grandest Game, gave it 3 stars, mostly because I kept picking it up and putting it back down. And towards the end, I really got into it. It was similar to the other one I mentioned, but at the beginning, it just felt really slow, and I wasn't really loving it. Same with Crush, same exact reason. I put this down so many times, like I barely finished it in time to turn it back in. That's how many times. Sleepy Hollow, it was one of the list of classics that I figured I should get through. It was available at my library. Wasn't my favorite. I gave it 2 stars the first one. Oh, I forgot to fix the stars on Fairest. I'm pretty sure I gave Fairest 3 stars. I will have to double check, and if it's wrong, I'll tell you next time. But Fairest, I believe, was 3 stars. It is a novella. It's Lavania's story, or Lavana's story, who is the evil queen in the series, and how she becomes the evil queen, more or less. And it was okay. This is a page where I just kept picking things up and putting them down, except for Deep End, which I will read pretty much anything Allie Hazelwood. I adored her Stemina stuff. The Love Hypothesis was something that I really, really liked. And what is it's on my shelf somewhere. She has a book. What is it called? Anyway, one of her feminist novels has really, really good demisexual representation in it, and so that was the first book I actually ever read of hers, and I've been hooked ever since. Anyway, so those are the ones I got through this one, and we go on to quote. I chose Find Out Who You Are, Do It on Purpose, Dolly Parton, and like I said, those 2 ones are here as well because I was able to fit them in twice, and you'll actually see them again at the end when I get to the other challenge. Spooky creatures are totally my jam, so I got through quite a few of them. Vampire, Filthy Rich Vampire, the first one was better than the second one. I have been dragging through the second one here in August. It's been forever. Running from the Wolves fit in here as well. And then I don't remember if this is the first. This is the first of the book we saw earlier by Alona Andrews. Magic user, a mage specifically, and then a fairy folk, the fae, for What Lies Beyond the Veil. And I've already talked about, I think, this one and this one. So Burn for me, 4 stars. Enjoyed it, obviously, because I moved on to the other ones in the series. Become the Avatar. I chose, actually, to not just choose one of the 2 options, but both of the options. I am doing the word on the cover and the thing on the cover. So this one is the picture on cover. I chose a hot air balloon for wind and the bay for water. So fortunately, The Milk is a Neil Gaiman. It's very short, a couple hours audiobook. It's not too long. I think it was 3 hours on an audiobook. 3 stars. It was cute. And then A Problematic Summer Romance was 4 stars for me. And I haven't done anything on the word and title, but I have ideas. Readathon. TBA. Haven't decided. I'm moving, thinking Aurelium, which is starting in September, so I need to get on that. But I've never done it before. And so we will see if that's the way I go. It seems kind of intense, but, I like intense, apparently. Okay. Animal Friends. Exotic Pets. Hollow Kingdom. 4 stars. I thought this was really well done. I told my husband about it, and I put it on his list of books that he should read, because I think he would really enjoy this book in general. So, yep. And then here are my, I only got through 3. I read Misrule, which was the second in the line for this book, or this series. It was a duology. I liked the first one way better than the second one. I mean, you have to finish the story, so I understand, but I liked the first one way better. For gay, I chose Tricks, and that one could have fit a couple places, but I was reading it for another challenge, specifically banned books. I believe it's the Penn list of banned books, and it was hard to get through. I gave it 3 stars because I thought it was well done, and it made me feel things, but it was hard to get through. And Left Hand of Darkness just really wasn't for me. I gave it a 2 star. I finished it. I think that it was just a lot of exposition for me. Um, I didn't really actually do anything on HRCYED 1.0 favorites, so I'll skip through. Same for BIPOC. I have picked out 2 books, so I won't tell you what they are yet, but I chose a book by a Chinese American and by a Navajo artist. They are artists. Author for August. So FYI on that one. Maybe you can guess. I did not get to my new release in July. It didn't get to me until the very end of the month, so I need to finish it in August. And luckily we get 60 days to do it, to be able to put it on here. So I'll get that one on there. I didn't do it this month, unfortunately. Challenge yourself. I got through, I believe, 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. 12 that I was able to fit in. I'm finding this is a little harder than I thought it would be, because a lot of them will just say that it takes place in the Midwest or in New England. And I'm like, but like where? Where in the Midwest? Where in New England? I want to put it on the map. And no, they don't tell me. So it's unfortunate. The memoir for next month, I've already got it in my phone. So it's already listed on there, so what it's going to be, but everything else I haven't really picked anything, and I didn't read anything in July. Okay. Q's reviews, I didn't get to any of those either. Secret prompt. So she puts out a secret prompt, and she's already announced August. I put it on there, but like go follow her on Discord and get them when they come out, because that's so much more fun than waiting as long as everything else, and you can't do it and interact with everyone else. So go check it out. I read Read Outside. You had to read the entirety of the book outside. So did I choose one of the shortest books that was available from my library that I could do outside? Yes, I did. I am allergic to the outside. It is not fun, especially when everything is blooming and growing, and my allergies are miserable. I did not think about the fact that I probably could have read it in my car, because I didn't really consider that outside. But apparently, according to Q, a lot of people read them in their car, and I'm like, then I could have put anything there. But I very like by the rules and read outside the entire time. I sat on my porch and I read it. It wasn't my favorite Sherlock Holmes book. I think because it was rather short, and I'd already seen an episode that went into this story that is outlined in the book. It just, yeah, it wasn't my favorite of the stories, because I think I was expecting more from it, because I'd already like watched an episode that was similar to it, that it was based on. All right, so that is all the HRCYED ones. Now I'll quickly go through the other ones that I'm working through. I am doing the Escape with Dolly reading challenges. She has 2. They are alphabet, or at least 2 that I'm doing. I don't know if she has other ones, but they are alphabet soup. Alphabet soup for author and alphabet soup for title. So the first one is author. I still have Q, X, Y, and Z that I have not filled. Y is going to be Onyx Storm, because I am reading that one with my husband, so it will definitely be on there, and this is a January to December one. All right, so the only one I actually did in this month, and I don't know why it turned gray instead of purple, so I must have made a mistake doing that, but anyway, I read Sleepy Hollow, which we saw earlier, that fit here, but I'm not really, or at least I haven't really been trying to finish this. I'm kind of just like reading a book, and then if it fits, putting it in there, because I read quite a few books, just in general. And then towards the end of the year, I really need to start finding the ones that I've missed. But one of the fun things is to try to find a book that fits multiple challenges, which I've tried to do in the past. So like, for instance, for the Y, I'm doing Onyx Storm, because I'm reading that with my husband, and then also in 2 other challenges, it's going to fit onto a prompt, one of them being HRCYED. So I find that kind of fun to be able to be like, oh, I'm planning this to go here and here and here. And yeah, so I still need a author with an X last name and an author with a Z last name and Q. I have a couple of ideas about what could go there and a couple of authors that would fit that category. Um, but I haven't like fully decided on any of the other ones at this point. I'm trying to think. Quinn is one of the ones that I thought about doing here. I think, was it Zanella that was on this one? But anyway, I will figure those ones out as I go, unless someone has a really good recommendation and they're like, oh, you would really like this book, or I think that this is a really good book, and it's available at my library, or I will check it out. But for now, I'm not really worried about this one so much. For title, I will probably finish this one in the next couple of months because I only have one left, and that is X, which is going to be Genocide by Orson Scott Card. It's the third book in the Ender's Game series. Ender's Game is one of my all-time favorite books, and I never actually went through and read the rest of the series, with the exception of A War of Gifts, which is a novella in this series, and Ender's Shadow, which is sort of where I thought the series ended, because those are the only books that were available when I read the first one at the library that I was looking at. And so I was like, oh, okay. I read all the books in the series. And then I found out, no, you didn't. Speaker for the Dead. So I read that one last year, and apparently that was the one that he wanted to write originally, and so he had to write Ender's Game to like be the precursor to that one, so he could write the story he really wanted to write, which was Speaker for the Dead. And I really liked it. So now I'm looking at the third one, which is Genocide, which I do not know anything about. I'm kind of going to try to go into it completely with nothing in my brain about it, other than it's probably going to have things in it that are not nice because of the name of the book, and because of none of the books are without not nice things in them. They're definitely exploring topics that are uncomfortable, and social commentary and things along those lines, which a lot of what we put into our art is discussing social commentary on the world around us and how we view things around us. So I anticipate going into it feeling, or coming out of it feeling sad about at least one thing, but also really enjoying it and feeling a connection into it. So hopefully I am anticipating correctly. I'm hoping for at least a 4-star. We will see. If it goes to a 3-star, I'll be sad, but fingers crossed. You'll see I have 3 on here that got added. 10,000 Doors January, Unwinding Anxiety, and Zathura, which were all books that I used for HRCYED. And like I said, for these ones, I'm sort of fitting them in as I go. And so this one I'm anticipating being finished by probably like September, October. It'll just depend on when it gets to me at my library. I've already got a hold on it. So I'm not really looking for anything on this one. But I'm almost done. And then there's also a monthly prompt. That one is available in the Alphabet Soup for the title Facebook group. You have to actually go in there to find out what it is every single month. I used Everyone on This Train is a Suspect, which we've already talked about, 3 stars for this month, which was 7+ words in the title. Let me tell you, it took me a while going through all the books that I had about to be checked out from the library, or already checked out from the library, or ones that I wanted to read on my list of tagged want to read, to try to find something that was 7+ words. I did not realize how many books are like 6 or less. Most of the books that I read apparently are 6 or less. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. 5, 2. So like even the ones on here, only that one is 7 more or more. But that was only one I had on my list of ones that I needed to read. So that's the one I chose, and I'm glad I did because I enjoyed it. All right, then we get to the Women's Only Friday Night Book Club. It is on Facebook, and I am working my way through the challenges in general. So this is where a lot of the books that I said I was reading them for a book club, and I'm trying to get caught up. That's where this came from, as you'll see, because there are a lot of blanks. And every one of those blanks has a specified book that is probably on hold for my library, waiting for it to arrive, because I went through a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago, and put as many of them on hold as I could. So let's get started, and you can see how far behind I am on these ones. The main challenge, which is like 50 something books, I think. Is it 50? It's a lot of books. I finished that one. That wasn't the problem. It was a problem that I found out, because I did this one last year, that there are monthly selections as well as this one. Now you can do whatever you want. You can do just the main challenge. You can do just the monthly. You can do the main challenge and a monthly. You can do a main challenge and a genre monthly. You can do a main challenge and a buddy read. There's all of these different challenges that you can, and clubs that you can participate in as you want. But I am a completionist, and it's a problem. But sorry. So we get to the first one, monthly selections. I have read 2. We are on month 7. So I've got a bit of catching up to do. I did read Hollow Kingdom this month, and I did actually like Cutting Teeth, and I did that one in the correct month because I was able to participate in the discussion on that. But most of the other ones, not so much. I haven't done. Thrillers, I've done more of the thrillers. I did 2 of them this month, which I told you you'd see those again. That's why they're right there. I enjoyed most of these more than I thought I would like. I was like, ooh, apparently I like thrillers a lot more than I thought I would. Or I thought I did. I have at least one more of them that should be available in August, or will be available for the end of August, that I will hopefully finish in August and get another one of those checked off. It's the one that I am the closest, surprisingly, to being caught up on. Because I'm actually a month ahead because that book was available. I need you to read this in July. So I was actually ahead. Sundown Motel was also really good. Those Empty Eyes I actually read last year, and it was a 5-star read. So I had to read it again, obviously. But yeah, I liked it. Surprisingly, I didn't know I liked thrillers, but apparently I do. Surprise! I thought I was like a fantasy romance girly, but I like both. Give me a couple of good twists and turns, and if it's a really well written twist and turn, and I don't 100% see everything, I'm gonna be like, I love you. But if it's one that I'm like, I see all of the turns coming. Oh yeah, that's the person. We're in chapter 2. That's the person. That's the plan. All this stuff. I'm not gonna have a fun time. But these were pretty well done. Historical fiction. I read none of them. Historical fiction is just not my jam so far. I haven't found any that I really, really, really loved. Other than maybe 10,000 Doors of January, which is historical fiction. But it's also got fantasy elements because there's magic. So maybe that's why I enjoyed it. I'm not sure. I have at least half of the ones that have already gone through, like, because there's 7 months. I've got at least half of them now in my requests from libraries. So we will see if I like historical fiction by the end of the year. I don't think it's ever going to be my fave, but I need to read at least one to finish one of the other things that I'm doing. So I'm like, well, may as well. Romance. I'm not quite caught up, but I am closer than I was. Like I mentioned, I had to reread The Love Hypothesis, which I am never opposed to. I'm not usually a reread them kind of book, but I like this one. It's cute. Makes me happy. I read Love Hypothesis and I've Got Your Number this month. The 5-star and 3-star, as already discussed. Fantasy. I thought I would be reading these once, but they've been hard to get in at the library. A Bones and Teeth, though, 5-star. Loved it. Looking forward to the next one, which is not going to be... It may already be out already, but I haven't been able to get it yet. From what I read, it is not necessarily a sequel. It is that it is in the same universe. So we will see if it's amazing or not. But the first, like, this one, I adored it. Like, it ticked all of my boxes. There were a few things that I wasn't a super fan of, but they were outweighed by all the things that I was. And that, obviously, I did not read that this month. 10,000 Doors of January was a buddy read. I have picked out my buddy reads through July, that way I could get them from the libraries. But there is usually a selection of anywhere from like 3 to 7 books that you can choose from that somebody is hosting like a group for. I just haven't been able to do it, so I'm sort of picking ones that were available to back read. Checkmate was amazing. Didn't read it this month though. It was adorable. It's YA. Allie Hazelwood. Chess. Adored. Made me smile. Like physically smile. 52 Book Club. Oh, there is another one that's on here that I don't know if I'll have time to get to this year or not, but there is a Saturday group that does like not quite quarterly, but like seasonally themed books, and they choose a different book every month that I want to do that I didn't know existed. Like I said, I keep finding more the more I dig. There's more people doing like subgroups and things, and I'm like, need to catch up. But if I have time, I may do the Saturday book club. If I do not have time, then maybe I'll do that for next year. But I didn't put it on here because I haven't actually started it yet because I'm overwhelmed with all of the other ones. Okay, 52 Book Club. Main challenge completed. All done. No issues. But I'm not done with the current mini, and the current mini is the Connections Challenge. This month I finished Deep End, Unwinding Anxiety. I forgot to... Oh, I couldn't find the... Why didn't I put this one on there? I definitely read this one. Rapture and Death, The Surgeon, Kills Well with Others, Back in the Bedroom, Love Hypothesis, and Secret Sin. So as you can see, a lot of the books that I was picking for HRCYED were because I was trying to finish the Connection Challenge. I don't know what happened here. It'll be on there for next month that you can see which one that was, because I definitely read whatever that one was, and it would have been orange, because the opposite side, I believe, of blue is orange. I think, right? But anyway, I'll figure out what it was and put it on there, because I don't know what happened. Anyway, I did not have this one. I was supposed to be getting it from the library, and then the library, I guess, lost a bunch of copies, and I had already gotten these two checked out, and I was like, no, I need to be able to read that one first, so I decided to break the rules. The rules for this one was that you had to read them all in order. So, that didn't happen, and now I am like, so far, I need like another month or two before I'm going to get this one, and I didn't want to wait and like turn them back in and get back on the list for all of them, so I decided, you know what? I know what book it is. It's ready to come. I've seen the movie. And I will just break the rules. Just a little bit. I'm not usually a rule breaker, but I'm going to break the rules and say I will come back to it when it is available to me. So I don't have to recheck out some of these other ones that were already checked out. So, anyways, the one that's going to be here is Fellowship of the Ring. So that is, because the ring, yeah. But anyways, you can kind of see how that flows. It's going to bug me. One second. I will pull up what that was supposed to be. It'll take me just 1 second. But the ones I read that I really enjoyed, Kills Well with Others, Deep End. Surprisingly, I didn't know that I would like Pride and Prejudice as much as I did. I thought that it was going to be one that I was like, okay, not a big deal. Another classic, checked off the list, probably a 3-star, but I actually really enjoyed it. So I gave it a 4-star. Okay, so the one that I apparently had a glitch on is Blood Fever by Karen Marie Moning. 4 stars. Really, really enjoyed it, and it was orange. Yay, I remembered. So for some reason that didn't show up, but I will fix that for the next time. And I believe this mini ends in maybe the end of August, but you can continue doing these ones. They don't have to be done only during then. You can continue them on if you don't finish them, because there's 21 books here total. So it can take people a little bit of time to get through them all. Some people do it so that they can choose these ones here and on the main challenge. I tend to say anything that's on the main challenge within a group of challenges, I can't put on a mini as well. That's just how I typically roll if I'm being given the options. Just like if there's a buddy read and a option for the actual main challenge, I wouldn't choose them both, because it is an example. But here too, none of these ones were on my main challenge. All right, and PopSugar is almost done. I need a book about space tourism, which I'm pretty sure is going to be Red Rising. And I need a book about a run club, which I've got a couple of options that I found from other people who had suggestions, but none of them have really like made me want to read them like a ton. Like I'm like, okay, I could probably read them, but none of them I've just been enamored with based on the description. So if you have suggestions, let me know. Um, there's a second page because I do as my best to fit all of them on one page, but I could not for PopSugar. There are 50 of them. They would have been teensy tiny, and I didn't want to play with the stars when they were that tiny. So there's a second page on that one. I also have 4 more here, but some of them are going to sort of already be decided. Music plays an integral role is going to be theme music, which is a book that I am reading or will be reading for the women's only Friday night book club. So that one will go there. Overlooked Woman in History. I have a couple of books that are in my queue that I may choose from. Most likely, I'm leaning towards a book about Egyptian female leadership because I love ancient Egypt stuff. I used to really, really love, I don't know if you've heard of it before, but Stargate. It was a sci-fi series, and my guest room is themed that. Specifically, the first couple of seasons of that show, which is all ancient Egyptian mythology, and loved it. But anyway, that is probably these ones. The dystopian book with a happy ending is probably going to be Winter because I'm reading that for a couple of other things in HRCYED, at least their potentials. Thinking about that one. Well, I'm definitely going to read it because it's one of the last ones in the series, and I am absolutely adoring the Lunar Chronicle series. 5 stars. Would recommend. Starts out with Cinder, and then each of the books in the series is a retelling, a modern retelling, but sort of like a futuristic modern retelling with a slightly different. I am not retelling this real straightly. Futuristic. There is space travel. There is cybernetics and robotics, and people live on the moon. It's awesome. Retellings of a bunch of different fairy tales. Cinder is Cinderella. You have, let's see, Red Riding Hood is in there. I really liked that one. Um, Rapunzel's in there. That one was cute. And I talked about it earlier. The one for Princess, no, Queen Larissa. Queen, what was her name? Lavana. Lavana, not Larissa. That one I did give a 3-star, but all the other ones have been 4+ stars. Really, really liked them. And Winter is the last full book. There's a novella, I believe, after that, and then a couple short stories that are connected that I will read them all because I am a completionist. But that's the last one. It is 24 hours long for the audiobook. So I am waiting until I have time to actually read it because I want to enjoy it. It's one of the last ones that's going to be that long, and there's going to be a lot of probably sword fighting and sneaking into the palace, and I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, that's probably that one. Always avoided reading is hard because, like, what does always mean? I read a lot of books, and there are some books that I haven't read, but I didn't necessarily not read them on purpose. Um, and how long is always? Is always like a year or two, or do I have to be like since childhood? I don't know. So I'm still thinking about that one. If I only have to think about the last few years, I'm probably gonna go with The Body Keeps the Score. Uh, My therapist told me to read it. I bought the book and I never read it. So well, that's a lie. I read the first couple chapters on a plane and then went, this is a little deep for me to be reading on a plane at the moment when I am this tired. I should not be reading this right now. And then I put it down and I never picked it back up because I just didn't. So I probably will go with that one if that's long enough to be considered always. I'm still thinking, what does always mean? But that is the end of all of the different ones that I'm working on. That's not all the different challenges I have done for the entire year, but that's all the ones that still have things open. I've thought about whether or not I want to put some of the like clubs that I'm in on here or not, but not all of them have a book every single month. Some of them only have a book like once a quarter, or um, whenever everyone can agree on the next book, which sometimes can be once a month, so maybe every other month. It sort of just depends on the length of the books and things like that. So I technically could put the book clubs I'm in on here as well, and then I will be doing whichever um, readathon that I end up going with, probably as its own separate one, and then sort of import it over into the HRCYED. Sorry, my brain sick, right? Anyways, we'll probably go with that route, and um, yeah, that's sort of where I'm at right now. I need to finish out August. Hopefully, um, have a lot of fun. I don't have that much longer left in August reading, so we will see how far I get. I'm hoping that, well, I'm not hoping, but I'm anticipating that September, October, maybe even November are going to be less strong months, um, as in I'm not reading 50 something books, which is not a bad thing. 50 books, even if some of them are short stories and novellas and manga, is a lot, because like 30 of those were like full length novels. That's like a one a day plus all of the novellas and short stories and manga and everything else. So it's a bit much, I think, in order to keep up with the things that I also want to do. Like, I need to make sure that I'm getting all my music learned. I need to make sure that I am getting the rest that I need, which is part of the reason I got through as many books in July and so far in August, is I haven't been sleeping very well. I've been very stressed with work and um, things that are going on in that realm. And so I've been not sleeping super great. So I've been awake more, and even if I'm just listening to an audiobook trying to fall asleep, so I'll choose something that's a little more lighthearted, not something that's like nonfiction or something that is super deep. Something maybe that's more like a series that I've read, been reading through, or um, children's books, things like that. It still adds up, because if you listen to, say, an hour or two of a book every single night because you're just staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep because you're stressed, you get through a lot more books than you probably should be. So hopefully, as I get into September, October, I start Oktoberfest season. I'm a German folk dancer. It's one of my hobbies outside of my reading and work life. That is Oktoberfest season, so I'll be very busy on the weekends, and I won't really have a ton of reading time for those weekends, and hopefully I will be more tired and more or less stressed during that time period, because the work stuff will be gone, or at least assuaged a bit by then, so I'll be able to sleep a little bit better, and I'll have less books. At least that's the thought. But that means I need to be a little bit more picky about what books I'm choosing, not just because I want to really enjoy them, but also so that I'm getting through the books that I want to read in all of these categories. So I will be planning September here in the next couple of weeks, probably in the next like 2 weeks. I want to finish October out and then plan for September. But it's also almost like at the end of the month we have a 3-day weekend, right? So that may be a good time to plan for September, even if I'm not 100% done with August yet, because I'll know like how far I'm going to be, and I'll have extra time to work on that because I don't have to do all the things that I'm normally doing. So I haven't decided yet. It'll either be recording at the very, very end of August during that holiday weekend when I have a little bit of time, or I will record that first like weekend in September, depending on what's going on. Because I usually record on the weekend because that's when I have time. I say usually; it's only the second recording for here, but I used to have another channel before, and I ran out of time with work to be able to do that. It was more financy related, so that channel no longer exists. And I tried to do those on the weekends. I think it was usually Sundays I recorded then, but anyways, I'm just chatting at this point, and I probably should stop and go make some tea and, honey for my throat, and chill out, take a nap, all the things. Um, the dog knows what's up. She's definitely sleeping. Her name is Roxy. Because I know when I see a dog in someone else's video, I'm like, what is your dog's name? Or cat. I also have a cat. Her name is Queenie. She'll probably be in none of the videos. She's not a fan of being cuddled with. She will let you, but she's not a fan. Um, and she doesn't really come where the dog is because they don't really get along all that well. They will put up with each other, but they are not friends. Um, so yeah, you probably won't see her. And I'm saying a lot, I'm realizing. I'm going to blame it on being sick. We'll see. It may not be accurate. Alright, so I will see you guys next time. I have been recording for a while, so sorry about making this one so long. Hopefully it will be quicker as I get used to this format, and let me know if you have suggestions or other things to add, things you don't really care so much about and you don't think that they should be included, etc., 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 or books. Let me know about books, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!